When was the last time you watched a video where the opening sequence was two plastic yellow ducks getting a bath? Don't say we don't deliver unique content on the Double Duck Garage. Good afternoon, welcome back to the channel. This is video number 10 in my NGTF engine rebuild series. The engine and subframe are currently sat on the driveway ready to go back into the car. The next job is to get underneath the car and drill out those rusted bolts that you might recall from video number 3, which was a long time back. They broke when I was actually taking the subframe out way back when, probably back in August, September time. Just needs a good clean. I think for its age it's not looking too bad at all. There's obviously a few places where rust is starting. I need to make sure that it's not worse than it looks, but at the moment it looks like it's not too much more than just surface rust. A very good clean up, a little bit of rust kill, and then some decent under seal of some description. I'll have to decide what's the best thing to put on it, and hopefully this should be fine for quite a few years to come. Those are the subframe mounts where the bolts snapped. I need to get this stand out of the way and then I can drill those out. Okay, that's job done. Then all I had to do was use a tap to clear the thread. That's the first one done. I've just got a M8 bolt to feed through just to make sure the threads are as good as they look. It's the following Saturday and I'm back in my spiritual home underneath the MG. Where I left it on Thursday was I drilled out those bolt holes, run a tap up through them and put a bolt into each of them to check the threads are okay, and it's all looking good. So next job is to start working on the bodywork. Out with the drill. Oh well, not quite as good as I'd hoped. But it's not as bad as the other side, but it's still not good. So my next job is to make up a series of cardboard templates that will allow me to make up a series of metal sections to weld into place. My welding, to be honest, has never been absolutely fantastic. However, that's not looking too bad, and at least it's solid metal rather than rust. This is now the second section, and I'm going to just get this measured up, cut to size, cleaned up, and get that ready for welding as well. It has gone a little bit wonky under there. I don't know whether that's because the metal deformed when it was heated up, or if it was actually just not straight in the first place. Doesn't matter, I'm not that fussed, in all honesty. I'm not looking for a concourse finish. I'm just looking for something that isn't going to rust away in a couple of years. This is the template for the last part. It was cut out in metal and welded to the car. Right, it's a few days later. It's an absolutely glorious Thursday afternoon, and it's time to do the offside. So I've got my template, and I'm going to see if I can do this side with one patch. I'm never going to claim to be the best welder, but when I weld stuff together, it stays together, and this is not looking too terrible. And considering how these started off, these are massively better than where they were a few days ago. So all in all, I'm pretty pleased with this. This is the first time I've ever done any welding on car body work, and something else that has occurred to me is the fact that I'm welding millimetre thick new metal onto what I think is probably about 1/2 mil old metal. So I've got two different thicknesses of metal, which made it quite easy to blow through the older metal when trying to get the newer metal hot enough, if that makes sense. But all that aside, I think it's job done, and by the time it's covered up with some underseal, it's not going to look too bad. And I'm doing it upside down and weird angles and all that. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with this. Right, so finally I can get underneath there, get everything cleaned, rust proof, painted up, and ready to put the subframe and engine back into the car at long last. So yeah, getting exciting. I spent the last couple of days cleaning the engine bay. It's all been degreased, it's got a coat of hammerite on it, and it's never going to be concours, but it's actually looking quite good, and importantly it should stave off the rust for a few years. So this is what it looks like now. Surprisingly, 20 minutes soak in some duck oil, and it freed up very easily. Well, this is the clutch slave cylinder, and I've got a rebuild kit for this. I'm hoping that's going to also help to improve the gear shift a bit. And finally, all my hard work has paid off, and I'm now ready to get the engine and subframe back into the car. As you might have seen last year when I took the engine and subframe out of the car, I'd come up with this idea of using 2 engine cranes and 2 very strong tow straps. Seems to have done a really good job, seems to be a really safe way of doing it. Although you can't see it here, the front wheels are chained to ramps and the ramps are anchored to the ground. That's not bad, that's pretty close. Well, it's been many months since this engine has been in this car. That was a really good afternoon's work.